Hello, Prof. Amin. My name is Long Kai-Yan, GP03775. Today, I'm going to present my project paper on language learning strategies by successful language learners. First of all, let me provide you an overview of my research. This study is conducted in SJKC Manjung, situated in Jalan Ipoh, Kuala Lumpur. The purpose of this study is to investigate the language learning strategies commonly used by primary ESL learners, which are listening and speaking, reading, writing, vocab, and grammar. The sample for this research are 10 primary school learners. They are in year 6 and they are chosen based on purposive sampling as they score A in English during the UPSR diagnostic test. The instrument used was Young Learners Language Strategy Use Inventory developed by Cohen and Oxford 2002 and Grammar Strategy conducted by Ellie Gurata in 2008. Let's look at the findings for listening strategies. 100% of the respondents say that they listen for what seems interesting. This means that they learn based on their interest in knowing something. They are also curious when they hear others' conversation in the target language. It implies that such authentic conversation help the learners to learn better. As for the findings for speaking strategies, 100% of the respondents agree that by asking for help, it helps them learn better. This proves that learners are humble and they are willing to get help and guidance whenever they need, while 70% of them chose to clarify meaning using gestures, body language, and facial expression to help the other party to understand them better. As for the reading strategies, 100% of them say that they read for fun. In other words, successful language learners practice extended reading other than the textbook materials. They actually read for other purposes such as pleasure, general knowledge, and etc. This implies that teachers will play an important role in exposing learners with variety of reading materials such as magazines, newspapers, brochures, graphic novels, and even comics. As for the writing strategies, 100% of them say that they plan what they are going to write. In fact, the writing strategies is chosen as the most frequently used strategy by the successful language learner. I believe that they plan according to what they are going to write is because this might be due to the learning approaches embedded in our KSSR curriculum, because I think math is greatly emphasized and used by learners in generating ideas and brainstorming during writing activity. So during this writing task, learners are trained or they practice to use bubble map to plan the layout of their writing. Other than planning, 100% of the respondents say that they ask for help and guidance whenever they have difficulties in rephrasing their words or sentence. So this proves that they are keen to learn and determined to use better vocabulary in their writing. Let's look at the vocabulary strategies. Unfortunately, this strategy is less favorable by the successful language learner. Perhaps they have little awareness on the words they learn, because in primary level, they are not aware of what type of words they are learning. But 70% say that they go over the new words for several times. Perhaps it would be more effective if these new words appear more frequently in context, then learners would be applying vocab strategies more effectively. Moving on to the grammar strategies, surprisingly, other than the writing strategies, successful language learners seem to favor grammar strategy as much as the writing strategy. 100% of them say that they take notes. Again, I believe that it is because of the I Think map embedded in our curriculum. And I Think map is often used in the teaching and learning of grammar lessons. Indirectly, it brings huge impacts towards successful language learner in understanding grammar better. They also took the initiative to practice at home. So 100% of them confess that they do grammar exercises at home, which is extra. They also ask the teacher questions about the corrections of their grammatical mistake. Regarding error correction, successful language learners they show more initiative whenever their written tasks were marked. So during exams, whenever they see the teacher putting the marks, correcting their sentences using red pen, they would come forward and they want to know what would be the better sentence or phrases. In other words, they show more enthusiasm in learning how to write better with little or no grammatical mistakes. Those are the findings based on the four language skills and vocabulary and grammar. So let's look at the main features of successful language learners. The main features that I would like to highlight here are based on the features suggested by Muhammad Amin 2010. So for feature 1, according to Muhammad Amin 2010, successful language learners search for reading materials extensively. It is applicable in the research here, as the respondents agree that they read for fun, they read for different purposes, especially pleasure. And they do not depend on textbook material only, which means that they don't read for examination purpose. They read extendedly to other books, other reading genre, such as comic, magazines, newspapers, storybooks, novels, and etc. These are the two literature components that are embedded in our curriculum. Wizard of Oz is actually a graphic novel, and Akbar Stream tell us about the stories from other cultures. So these literature components are actually a good exposure towards the learners, as they gain awareness on the different variation of reading materials other than the common textbook. Feature 2. Successful language learners are observed to have this feature. They make their own opportunities, and this is agreed by Rubin and Thompson. And they also seek opportunities to be exposed to the language. So when we have learners who seek for opportunities like this, they are indirectly a more successful language learner, as they are active. They are actively learning, and whenever they hear conversations in the target language, they are more curious. They want to listen to how people express their ideas, use the language, how they pronounce words, and how they do turn taking. And also, they take advantage of the learning media such as radio, television programs, and etc. So it provides greater exposure when they learn through other medias. As for feature 3 of successful language learner, they make errors work, and this is agreed by Muhammad Amin 2010. They think of mistakes as ways to be better in learning, and also they learn from mistakes. Referring to the grammar strategy findings mentioned earlier, they would ask questions to their teachers for the grammatical errors. So they are willing to learn from their mistake and ask and get help. As a conclusion, they are humble learners who are willing to improve themselves. Feature 3. Successful language learners organize their language learning. They are more systematic. They plan their learning. In class, they would take notes regardless what language lesson is being carried out. They take notes, and this is most commonly observed in writing lessons and grammar lessons. They would take notes using iThinkMap again, especially in BaBaMap. That's the easiest way they can organize their ideas and able to revise them systematically later. And this is also one way they monitor their own learning. The fifth feature, practice. As the saying goes, practice makes perfect. Successful language learners often practice outside of the classroom. Other than the regular practice we have inside the classroom, they make the effort to practice outside of the classroom by doing grammar exercises at home or even practicing their listening and speaking skill with others outside the classroom. And this implies that they apply whatever they learn in real life situations. When they apply this in real life situations, they gain better experiences, and from there, they gain better language proficiency. That's for the features of successful language learner. Let's look at the implications of this research towards the teacher's pedagogical and content knowledge. As teachers, we must be the good practitioners of pedagogical and content knowledge. Here are a few aspects that I think is important and essential as teachers. Teaching approaches used in a classroom, we must always try to emphasize on learner-centered teaching approaches. This is because successful learners, language learners, they are active, independent learners, and they benefit the most from learner-centered teaching approach. We should not be dominating the teaching and learning. Instead, we should facilitate the learning process. As for the teaching methods, cooperative and collaborative learning are most encouraged. In cooperative and collaborative learning, learners would work together to achieve a shared goal. They are accountable for their own learning as they are being assessed as a group. Besides, through these teaching methods, it provides them a solid peer support system in learning. As for the activities in classroom, we can recommend role play, simulation, or project, or even dramatization in the classroom. This is where we can see the potential of learners to be active and engaged in the lesson. Teaching materials, teachers need to incorporate authentic materials in our classroom. Other than the textbook, we should bring the textbook into life by using authentic materials. For instance, when we learn about email, the format of writing an email, we can actually provide an authentic email in class and encourage the after-class email task. For instance, this classmate will be emailing to a friend in other country. Other than that, when we learn about writing a notice, teachers can actually bring in authentic notice from newspapers or magazines. As for the teaching focus, since writing and grammar strategies are most favorable by the successful language learner, in class, teaching focus can be emphasized in this writing skill and grammar component. However, it is very important to work together with other strategies like listening and speaking, reading, and vocab strategies, because they might realize that it's actually effective for certain learners in the long run. So that's all for my presentation for my successful language learner and the learner inventory. I hope this is impactful towards the education world in knowing how language learners learn. Thank you.